Kate Reed is an artist and inventor from Dover, Massachusetts, and she ponders the human experience at every turn, solving real-world problems with simplicity and economic availability to all. Kate's designs and inventions have been featured at the White House, at Boston and New York Fashion Week, Museum of Design in Atlanta, the MIT Museum, Boston's Children's Museum, and at Hackaday SuperConference. Kate is a student at the Brown RISD dual degree program currently, and so let's give a round of applause to Kate.
Hi, I'm Kate Reed, here today from Providence, Rhode Island. It's great to be back in this amazing community, sharing ideas across all disciplines. I'm here today to talk about design and why design belongs in every step of the creation process and how to develop healthy design work habits. And it has to do with the people. When creating something new, it's easy to get swept up in the thrill of technology and mechanics, to rush ahead with a new idea and say it works. But don't forget the people. From inventing the wheel to inventing the automobile, we create and design in an effort to make human lives better. Good designs are made for people. They evoke an emotional response from the user. They are intuitive to use, and they're cost-effective to bring to market. Over time, our inventions have become more and more high-tech, especially these days. But regardless of that fact, we are thinking, feeling, spiritual beings that are far more intuitive and emotional than we often acknowledge. As designers and makers, we must invent for the deeply complex creatures that we are. Design evokes an emotional response. When it comes to new products, humans care about more than just function. We have an innate connection to the natural world. Shapes, colors, and even sound evokes an emotional response from us. And our environment affects our feelings. We are attracted to beauty and associate designs with memories and dreams. Be it conscious or subconscious, we look for emotion in our designs. We need to know this as we create and keep this concept in the forefront of our minds for each project. As we create and create spaces, we want to think early on how we want people to feel as they engage with our creations. Classical architecture was designed to convey a sense of power, starting way back with the Roman Empire. Walking into a black room makes us feel dark inside. Being in a classy vintage car makes you whimsical and shifts your sense of time. The world of feeling and emotional attachment is strongly at play in the products we surround ourselves with. Think of how many iPhone cases there are. So many. But why? People want to express themselves. What brings me here today is Invisible, a public art campaign I created that is entered in this year's Hackaday competition. I would like to share this project with you and emphasize how I utilize these design concepts and habits in the creation process. Invisible. People are invisible all over the world for a variety of reasons. Some by choice, some by necessity. We all have parts of us we want or need to be invisible. Be it your sexual preference, race, income. The list is endless. Invisible is a campaign that places interactive, translucent sculptures all over the world for people to contribute their inner invisibilities to and be empowered by the sharing of others. This human silhouette asks a question etched on its heart. What makes you feel invisible? Scribble your answer on a piece of paper and drop it into the sculpture. The more people who donate their invisibilities, the more empowered the campaign becomes. As the sculpture fills with thought donations, the sculpture itself becomes more visible. A stranger's thought donation will be available to you when you donate yours, or will be anonymously posted online for all who seek. We all struggle out of fear of our differences, and acknowledging these fears can lead to social change. So this project began last spring in Cambridge, Massachusetts, out of my daily interaction with the homeless community. Each morning, homeless people lined the streets of Central Square as I walked to school. They had already been out on the streets for hours by the time I was headed to school. One woman always called me "Funky Backpack," while another homeless man would always smile and wave, telling me, "Have a wonderful morning." These are my people, my morning community, yet our lives are so very different. It was heartbreaking for me to see, day after day, passerby completely ignore these people and their situation. Why do we ignore homeless people? Are we frightened of the homeless? Are we frightened by our differences or by our shocking similarities? What if there was a way to shine light on homeless people in their plight without the fears associated with actually speaking to one, which causes people to shut down and ignore the problem, stifling social change? Thus, the concept of Invisible was born. My goal was to create a sculpture to reach people, make a statement of our inner worlds, and inspire compassion for others. Two concepts stood out for me. The first was, I felt Invisible should be human-centered, human-shaped, to get people emotionally invested. I experimented with different representations of humans, sitting, lying down, standing, but there was no question for me that it had to be human, because that is the element that invites and intrigues people to come in and take a closer look. The second concept was, I felt Invisible needed to be transparent. That would come into play later in the design, but I had this concept from the beginning to help guide me. Here are some early sketches. I knew I was getting closer to an emotional design response because my emotions were responding. Trust your instincts and your community feedback. I sketched until I got what I was looking for. I then mocked up a rough idea of the sculpture just using cardboard and saran wrap. In full support of Hackaday and the open source community, I began looking for human shapes already in existence. Why reinvent the wheel? As I searched around for different 3D models of bodies, I came across this mannequin made by FabLab using the Autodesk software 123D Make. And I loved its aesthetic feel. I especially loved the slant of the layers of cardboard. This gave me a place to start. I pulled the Autodesk file into Rhino because that was the best program for me to manipulate the files, and I plan to do a lot of manipulating. I knew I wanted the sculpture to be transparent, so my challenge was to tweak the shape so it could be hollow and take out as many layers as possible to keep the sculpture open and feeling. I took out 90% of the layers. I added arms, legs, a neck, and a head to create a body position of hopelessness and being invisible, all the while thinking of how I wanted people to feel as they saw the sculpture. Because I took out so many layers, I also added vertical supports to accommodate the changes. I then laser cut this iteration in cardboard, just to make sure everything fit together and was structurally sound. With phase 1 of Invisible complete, it was now time to explore how Invisible would interact with people. This brings me to my second point, usability. The best designs are intuitive to use. If you have to tell someone how to use your product, then you are not done designing. Here's a door going into a store. It has a handle, yet also a sign telling you to push or pull it. We've all been that person, tugging and pushing over and over again on the door in the wrong direction, and a flow of people laughing it off after we finally get through the door. This door is not designed well. If you have to cover your product with instruction stickers, you have not fully fleshed out your design. Oops. Dyson hand dryers. He has so many models, but look at how intuitive this one is. There is no sign telling you to put your hands in there, yet you know to put your hands in with the gentle shape of the opening. And it's called the air blade, which signals you to move your hands out slowly even though there are no instructions. Take the toilet wand. If it were just functional, you could just literally use a sponge to clean a toilet. But nobody does that because it's disgusting. The first toilet brush designs added a stick, which was a welcome improvement. But then someone really thought through the toilet cleaning process and sorted out all the gross parts. Here's a toilet wand with a drip guard that also functions as a lid to a storage container. Brilliant. A usable product and one people would gladly buy over a sponge. Completely intuitive to use and decorative. This is another project of mine. I created a Tai Chi environment and experience with floating dodecahedrons. There are 5 floating dodecahedrons at various heights surrounding an empty circle. As you enter the circle and move close to one of the orbs, it begins to glow. If you move too fast towards the orb, the light shuts off. You quickly learn to move towards each orb to lead your meditation motion. They can be set for various programs to represent various Tai Chi routines. Once again, intuitive to use. Back to invisible. I needed a way to draw people towards the sculpture. While I accomplished this with the first step in designing the body shape and transparent materials, I now needed to find a way to get people to add their notes to the sculpture. I didn't want to put a sign next to the sculpture with instructions, or literally make it like a panhandler holding a sign. I felt that would limit people's interpretations of the project. So instead, I experimented with etching words onto the chest plate. I designed a chest plate that asked the question, what makes you feel invisible? At first, I tried a very flowy, natural feeling chest plate, with a few invisible suggestions around the edges. But it didn't match the style of the rest of the piece. I then settled on a sleeker looking design that allows invisible suggestions to be more plentiful in various sizes, suggesting different size problems, different levels of awareness, and for different people. My goal was to include as little direction as possible. As people read the chest plate, they are able to see notes inside the sculpture and the opening in the chest plate to drop them in. Just one starter note is enough to give direction. With Invisible now aesthetically drawing people in and intuitively showing them how to interact, it was time for my third challenge. Keep your costs in check. You can design something amazing and truly revolutionary, but if it's too expensive to make, it's not going to make it to mass market. Maybe your product is so amazing that you can commit yourself to the cycle of seeking funding and development money to make it happen. But the earlier into the design process that you consider money, the better off you'll be bringing your product to market. The Hovding inflatable bicycle helmet from Sweden. Such a great invention. But coming out of the gate, it costs $325. The average bike helmet costs $10 to $20. The Segway was hoped to take off and truly change the way we travel within cities. It costs over $100 million to develop and prices out these days at $6,000. The first complaint out of people's mouths when it comes to the Segway is always, it's too expensive. The electric car is now coming into its own and is going to make it to market, but it's been around forever. The first electric cars were invented way back in the 1800s, just 30 years after the motor car. But only now has the technology and cost effectiveness balanced out so that the electric car can enter the marketplace as a true option for people. There is a full market available now to making technologies more cost effective. Oops. Here is our hand drive wheelchair attachment that was a finalist in last year's competition. Our 3D printed wheelchair attachment allows any wheelchair to be powered in a rowing motion. While there are other attachments out there that essentially do the same thing, ours is available at a fraction of the cost, less than 1%. While there are many factors in determining whether or not products make it to market, the biggest one is whether it can be mass-produced inexpensively in proportion to its value. With the design of Invisible complete, I now have options of materials to use. Invisible can be made out of glass, solid acrylic, cast-in resin, or plastic, all at various price points. I considered these options at the very start of my design process. My goal is for my design to be cost-effective, to find that balance between materials, manufacturing, and work hours, so I can deliver a quality product that's also cost-effective. I want some of my invisible sculptures to live outdoors on the streets. This means I need them to be strong and weather-resistant. I also want some of my invisible sculptures to live in schools and libraries, where they will get lots of hands-on interaction with children, so they need to be sturdy. I also want my campaign to go worldwide, so I need materials that can be mass-produced inexpensively. For my outdoor, kid-friendly version, I decided upon 1/8-inch acrylic laser-cut pieces, secured with epoxy, then wrapped in saran wrap. It's inexpensive, as each sculpture costs approximately $100 a material. The downside is it's fragile until it's wrapped with saran wrap. I've created a second version of Invisible, where you can take out other invisibilities as you put yours in. For this version, I added 3mm holes 5 to 10 millimeters apart and strung the entire structure with clear elastic. This version costs $20 more and about 20 more hours of work. Invisible is now ready to go. The files are downloadable, so I can have them laser cut in towns where I travel for an installation, or I can pack the pieces in my suitcase, throw in some epoxy and saran wrap, and I'm ready to go. Invisible is all about the people. With this design, I can show up at a library or school anywhere in the world with my invisible pieces and put together an invisible with the community members. They can be a part of the wrapping or stringing process and can participate in putting up invisible thought donations on the website from time to time. I'm hoping my Invisible campaign goes viral. In closing, my reminder to you is something that you already know. That design matters and should be a part of each step of the creative process. From concept to prototype, through developing iterations, and through to a final product. Design fails often happen by considering design too late in your creative process or forgetting to check in with your design goals often enough. Establish good design habits for yourself and for your team. Ask yourself these questions often. Who is this product meant for? Is this product aesthetically pleasing? How do they know how to use this product? And why would they choose this product over something else? Knowing these answers to these questions at any point in your process, in your project along the way, will result in stronger, more thoughtful, user-friendly, and cost-effective products. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. If you're interested in an invisible sculpture in your area, I'd love to talk with you more to make that happen. Please keep in touch, and if you'd like to follow my Invisible campaign, you can find me via the website, www.invisible.world. Thank you.